Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for another webinar. I'm joined here by Don Evanoff from TaxWise Walters Kluwer and Alexis Bailey with Unity Tax Partners. Today's webinar, the topic is going to be the enhanced mobile app. It's a tool that's available to all our partners that you can use to streamline your process, data collection, and provide your clients with a much better experience, which we will discuss all that today. I'm going to hand it over to Alexis to go over the rules of the webinar and how you can ask questions. And Don will be going over all the features and benefits of the mobile app.
Thanks, Omar. Hey, everyone. Thanks again for joining us today. Again, our webinar is going to be focused on everything mobile app. So we're going to cover how to set up your mobile app, as well as, make any updates from last year and how to actually use it for you and your clients. If you guys do have any questions throughout the webinar, what you're going to do is on the left-hand side, we have the Q&A chat. You can go ahead and type in your questions at any point there, and we will go ahead and answer those at the end of the webinar. Additionally, you do have different options throughout here, such as reactions. Feel free to react to anything you see. That way, if we see, some question marks or thumbs up, we can kind of slow down if we start seeing confusion or whatnot. And then any other questions, feel free to shoot in. And with that, I will go ahead, pass it on over to you, Don.
Sounds great. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Please make sure. Yeah, hold on. It's giving me a minute and thinking here. Sorry. I pulled it up and some stuff is showing up, and there we go, right there. Let's make sure we're seeing the right thing. So, Alexis, can you please tell me, are you seeing TaxWise 25 and I'm in settings?
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that they're seeing what I think they are. All right. Well, welcome everybody. And today we're going to talk about the mobile app. So it's an app, and well, it's not really an app. It is a URL that they can then save. And when I say they, the taxpayer can save to their phone, their tablet, their computer, whatever device they're using. And it looks like an app. We did that specifically because we didn't want to send people to the App Store. Because if you send them, maybe they'll get yours, maybe they'll get mine, maybe they'll get Alexis's. So we wanted to make sure that you had control of getting that URL to your customers or to your prospects. So you will create it through the co-brand mobile app here. So I'm going to click on this. So again, I logged in as admin. And I went to settings and I'm clicking on co-brand mobile app. We are not going to go through line by line. Most of it's very self-explanatory. We're going to talk about a few new things and some changes. So this is to set up your mobile app, and each of you can set up your own. Any of the information here about your office, you can change except the site name. Once you create your mobile app with that site name, that is your site name. So when you set it up, make sure you type it the way you want it. Make sure you spell it correctly. Because once where my button says update mobile site down on the bottom left-hand side, right-hand side, once you click that and create it, that's your site for the rest of time. So that is the one piece you need to make sure you have spelled correctly in the way you want it to appear for your business name. Everything else on this screen, you can change. You can go in and edit it later today, 4 days from now, next year. So whatever you're doing, people move their offices, they change a phone number, different things happen. So there is the basic information. The big piece that's new is where it says mobile site type. We've always had light, full, and a couple of years ago we added Puerto Rico, but this year the new one is doc only version. And most of you are going to want to use this. The feedback we got from most of our tax preparers was that the taxpayers said, if I have to enter all that data, what am I paying you for? Because they had to type everything in. And so we went with the doc only, where it's actually got AI in it to read identity documents, to read 6 income documents. So again, I will let you know those 6 in a minute when we get over into it, but it'll read the data through AI and auto-populate it into TaxWise Online. Anything besides those 6 documents, they can still upload, but you will have to open it from the vault and enter the data. So like if they have a daycare form, right? They can take a picture of it, upload it, and then you can enter the daycare information on the 2441. So each one of these tabs you'll go through and you will enter the information and do what it asks. One of the big things and where the problem is with setting this up is with getting your logo and your mobile app logo correct. Guys, it's in red. It's got to be a PNG format. Recommended resolution for the logo, which will be up in the top left-hand corner, is 250 by 150, and it cannot exceed 32 KB. And then for the mobile app logo, so when they save it to their phone, that's a square. So it's 512 by 512, and it cannot exceed 32 KB. This is the hardest part of setting it up, is getting the right size. If you're not good at that, I'm not good at that. I'm an older person, so that's not my thing. But to save it into a PNG format and that particular resolution and the size of the file. We have people who say it doesn't work, and then I find that they have a 98 KB file, or it looks really funky because they did it some crazy resolution. So if you follow these formats, it will come out fine and look great. The next tab is your prep fee. You can show a fee, but it's only one fee. So if you charge by form and you have different prices depending on what forms are in it, you want to make sure that this box is unchecked. Some people use mobile to go against DIY, so they charge a single prep fee. So if you want to do that, you can, but then let's just say you pick $100 for the amount for the tax preparation services, then every return is $100, no matter what forms are in it. So again, if you want it to be like that, you would check the box to show the fees during the interview, and you would enter all your fees here, your $100 for your tax preparation service, and enter any other fees that you want there. I'm not going to do the fees. I wait until I do the return and know what forms are in it. So where the next one is about and contact. This is where you can go in and you can enter information about your office that they can read on the site. How long you've been in business, how many preparers, things like that. Of why should I come to you to get my tax return done? That this is an offering for people to be able to have, a tax preparer assisted preparation piece. So you can do things like that here and write up anything you want. Sorry, I just lost my mouse. There we go. For contact information, also on the mobile app, do you want to show a phone number for them to call to contact your office, or an email address? You can also message right within the app and it comes right into TWO. So you check which ones you want. The main thing here is to remember, like if you do email, somebody has to be constantly monitoring that email, right? Because they'll send you a question in the email. And I don't know about you, but I never have time for email during tax season. It's kind of the last thing I ever deal with. So it's up to you whether you want to show them all, whether you just want a phone number and message within the app. Totally up to you. Check which ones you want and go from there. The big thing is this next one is customize your homepage. So this is the overview and it tells you like this is the homepage image with the lady with the computer, the title, the subtitle, and then you click down each one and you can go in and customize it. So one of the things I recommend for your photo, and again, you have more choices of the file formats. It has to be a 512 by 512 because again, it's a square box in the setup, but it gives you a lot more of a file size. So it's 512 KB here. I recommend that if you're going to use it with your existing customers, as well as new customers, that you put a photo of yourself or your office team, your permanent people, because if they look at it and they say, oh, there's Alexis. Okay, I know I feel more confident at the right place if I see pictures of the people I know. Mine is a fake one. This is actually a QA one. Mine has my logo on it, but you've got your logo in the top left-hand corner, so you really need it in the box in the middle. So you can do something like this, like a canned picture with somebody on a computer. Or like I said, you can do a picture of you or of you and your permanent staff, whatever. You can then customize the homepage title, and you'll notice I put, see what One Big Beautiful Bill Act will do for your refund. And you can also do it in Spanish. One of the nice things about mobile is the taxpayer can change from English to Spanish. So they can do that right within the mobile app. So again, you can adjust all of these items and you just go down each one. I don't do the quick estimator because it's a big range of numbers. It doesn't give them an exact refund because you're asking very basic, quick information. You have to verify they can get all the credits. So it gives them quite a range of what their refund could be if they're people that have child tax credit, EIC, things like that. And that kind of scares me a little because if they call somebody else and they tell them they're getting $6,000 and I tell them they're getting between $2,000 and $6,200, they may go to the person that said they were getting $6,000 for fear I'll only get them $22,000 because of the range, because there's not an understanding sometimes there with the tax preparers that you have to ask them questions to make sure they qualify for those credits and pieces. So I don't usually, if you want to show it, you mark the box. Normally I uncheck it, but I'm going to leave it there just so you can see it. You can change sign in to log in or whatever you want. You can change sign up. Again, I changed it to create an account. Start your 1040 interview or return. I changed it to return, not interview, because most people don't know what an interview is or don't think of it in tax preparation. So I did that. Continue an existing interview. Here, I'm going to change that to return. I missed it earlier. And then you can have a homepage footer. On here, I just said, this is where I would put in bank product information if you're offering bank products. So you could say, you know, we offer the following bank products from whatever your banking partner is. In this year, you may want to say something about the fact that the IRS doesn't want to send out checks. And because of that, they may want to use a bank product this year if they don't want to give or don't have a routing, transit, and account number. So you can put a blurb in here however you want, and it's the footer on the page. I'm going to click update mobile site because I changed that one word. And again, you can come in and change it multiple times. I was messing with it earlier because, again, this is a QA site that a couple of us use. And so I was kind of tweaking it a little to be more like the one I had set up. The last part is themes, and this is where you can pick colors. So you have light, dark, or custom. The custom is nice because you can do your colors. So it shows you what each one is. So this blue is a primary color. I can go in, and if I know my RGB number for my color, I can just put in my RGB or my hash number for my color. And if I don't, I can just grab this little circle. Well, first I can grab this little slider and put it to whatever color I want, but I'm going to leave it at blue. And then I can just grab this circle and I can move it around so I can make it a darker blue. So we're just going to go there. And you can change the colors. I typically change the text color because to me, it looks kind of gray. So I pull it all the way down into the black. And it could be my old eyes that I don't see it great. But again, you can go in, and then once you have updated your site, you can then go into the site and take a look at it. So remember, I darken that blue color, and we'll click here to go into the site to look at it. And you see how I have navy blue at the top instead of that bright blue. And you see here it says 1040 return and continue with an existing return. So again, this is what your site will look like. I'm going to go in and create an account really quick and show you that. They can do it. Maybe it's thinking. They can do it with their Google account or their Microsoft account or their email address. So with me, I forgot to log out of this one. I logged into one so I would have one to show you other pieces earlier. So let me sign out. Sorry about that. Create a new account. So here they can do Microsoft, Google, or email sign up. Because I demo this all day long, I need to use an email sign up because Google lets me add. So you notice I put 2520. So this one's going to be 2521. It allows me to put that plus and the numbers, and it will go to my Google account to verify the email address so that I can get it there quickly and easily. So just give me a minute. I'm on my phone looking at my Google. I'm sorry, at my email to get the email. There we go. I hate it when they do it so little. 856 265. 856 265. Then they click verify code. It's making sure that they don't already have an account with their email address or anything they used. You'll notice it says it was verified. I can continue. I'm not sure what this password is, so I'm going to create a new one. And then they'll confirm their password. And then they'll display a name. So I'm going to put Unity here. And what's today? 12/15. So we're going to do 12/15. So the taxpayer would actually put their name, but so that we can see this when we look at the returns in TWO, it makes life easier because, like I said, I do this multiple times a day. You'll notice at the top, it says, hello, Unity, 12/15. And I can then go ahead. I'm going to skip the estimator. When they get started, that's the estimator. I'm going to skip it and go here. Now, in real life, they will take pictures with their phone or their tablet and upload them there. But again, for you to be able to see it on my computer, I am actually just going to upload the photos from my computer. And again, they can do that as well if they're on a computer at home and they have a scanner or whatever. For time, we're going to do single. So I'm going to click next. And what's new this year is now there's accepted documents for their IDs that AI will now read. And if you look at it, it can be PNG, JPEG, or PDF format, and it can't be larger than 4 megabit. So again, but it's all right here for the taxpayer to see. So I'm going to select a file to upload. And again, I'm just going to go here and pick a driver's license. Hold on. I put a bunch of driver's license somewhere. We'll use this one and click open. And you'll notice it's uploading the files. And in a minute, in the bottom right-hand corner, it's going to tell me file uploaded and extracted successfully. And you also notice, you see the word English down there? That's where the taxpayer can change it to English or Spanish. We're going to leave it in English, but they can change it to Spanish if they like. I can upload another document if I want to. If I have a wife or a husband, I can select another identity document to upload, but we're going to click next. You'll notice here, it pulled the information out from the driver's license. So it pulled the name, it pulled her date of birth. It does not have her social security number. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense, right? Because that's not on your driver's license. Now, if they had put in a social security card, it would have read the social security number off the social security card, but we didn't do that. Again, I'm just going to put my Gmail address in here. They will put their own, of course, but again, so I can just show it to you, they'll put their phone number and their occupation, none of which, of course, is on their documents. And click next. Next, it will pull in their address. So it pulled in some of it on here that's incorrect. I'm just going to say 1 Main Street. I don't even know what it is on that fake license. And yes, their home was in the United States for more than half the year. So again, it's pulling all this information in automatically off of that driver's license. Now they can do their income documents. You'll notice here that you can upload 10 documents. So they can pick 10 documents. If they took pictures of 10 documents, they had 10 W-2s, they could take pictures of all 10, and then they could go to their photos and choose those 10 to upload. Again, for time, we're going to come here and we'll pick 2. I can never remember if it's shift or control. Oh, heck. One time I got a whole bunch because I did that. Apparently, I picked the wrong one. I'm just doing it this way. We'll do one for right now. And again, if I need to go in and do another one, I can select it and go in. If I went, oh, like I just did, where that one didn't work, I'll take this one as well. And there I have 2 W-2s now. We're going to go to the next thing. Again, same thing with expenses. You'll notice here, tuition statement, student loan interest, IRA contributions, and there's a little question mark that they can pick up and they can see it and then ask if they have more questions. They can chat with you. So everything is right here within their question. So they can call you. Remember, I had call, email, and chat. So they've got all of them right there to just ask you a question. And that's why I said you've got to be monitoring that email if you put that in, because they can ask you a question and they're waiting to move forward and they're waiting for a response. Of course, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, they'll probably figure you're not going to respond, but who knows? So I'm going to go ahead and click next. And now they can review. So they can click the arrow and look at everything to review it. And of course, click the pencil to edit anything if they did something wrong. We're not going to review everything. We're just going to go and say next. Now it says, okay, how do you want me to contact you? And again, depending on the age of the taxpayer, it may be a voicemail, it may be a text message. We're going to do the text message. And at this point, we're going to submit their interview. You'll notice now it gives them a referral code. So it automatically creates a referral code. If you know how to use a QR creator, you can use that link and create a QR code. You can use it and use that link on your Facebook, your WhatsApp, your X, or you can click the little link, the little copy button right here and copy it. And you'll see down at the bottom, it says copy to clipboard. And then I can like email it to my mom because my mom doesn't do X or WhatsApp or Facebook, right? So they can refer, and each taxpayer that does a return gets their own referral link. And we have reports where it will run the report so you'll know how many people this person referred to you if you want to pay referral fees. And again, that's totally up to you, but it's a way to track it. So you have that as well. Okay, I'm going to click back because now they can track their status. So you see here it says submission received. And they're waiting for me to do something with it on the other side in TWO. Just so something comes through, I'm going to click on message prepare and I'm going to type a message here so I can show it to you on the other end. Okay, so this is the taxpayer sending this message to the tax preparer. So again, I'm going to go into my TaxWise Online. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'm going to click on my dashboard real quick. Now I'm going to click on my mobile returns. You'll notice I have two to import. And if you look at it, I just did this one now. So I'm going to click on the tin and it will open that data. I just realized I used the same driver's license. So we're going to have two people with the same name with different socials. So you'll notice here now, it brought all this data all filled in. And then I did some things in my template or tax form default. I wanted to show you this because dependents is a new way to enter them. They don't go across the screen in main info anymore. They go down. It has nothing to do with mobile. Just wanted you to see it as we go down. I'm going to change it to no because otherwise we're going to get that lovely message that George is not ready. So we're just going to take it out. So I have to put today's date in. That's an IRS requirement, guys, that you have to type the date in that the people are signing the paperwork. Once I do that, I'm going to go look at my W-2s. Here's this one with the information filled in. Sorry, my mouse is going all over the place today. And they had information here and here. And I'm just going to take the red out there. I've got a green checkbox there as well. Now I will just start going through and filling out and finishing the return by clicking on all the red fields, forms with red in them, and then going down. I'm going to say no just because, again, you have to put a correct routing number or you're going to get all sorts of errors, and I don't want to put a real one in there in a demo situation. But of course, if you can, in today's world, you want to put a routing number and account number because the IRS is trying to go paperless. So if they can, and then you'll just finish it up through here and go through. Once you're done, you'll run your diagnostics and then you will use your e-signature. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the other one I did with the lady with the same name, different social though. Because I want you to see that one. I thought I finished it and I actually didn't, so hold on. I didn't do my due diligence. That's the one that always gets people because they're so used to clicking yes. Okay, I missed one. Finish the last one. I want you to see how it goes through and the flow is. So that's what I'm doing here. And we've got them all done, except something on the main. And again, I apologize. This is in QA, but this is the only place it was flowing through currently, because not all the forms are done and things are not finished yet. So it's a little crazy with it. So just give us a minute. Missed something else. Oh, I put a child in this one. There we go. Oh my God. Every time I finish something or add it. Again, I was trying to get set up for you. Yep, I asked. They weren't. And then one more here. And we're good. So again, you'll run your diagnostics. They didn't check the main EIC on the main information sheet for it. I'm just going to leave it for right now because again, this isn't really a correct return. It's fake. But I'm trying to show you the steps. You'd run your diagnostics and then you'd click e-signature. Again, if the client is not there with you, you're going to use remote signature because you can't look at their face and look at their ID and know it's them. So you want to use remote. But in this case, I'm going to use on preparer's device so that you can see me sign it. Gail, you don't like working today. Hold on. I typed the wrong email address in here. There we go. Now let's try e-signature. So it doesn't allow that in e-signature for what I do with Gmail so that I can do multiples. So again, I'm going to change it not to in-person. In-person would be if you looked at their driver's license in them and you know it's them, but they don't want to touch your device. All right. So then they get an email on their phone and then they could just sign it using their finger on their own phone. And again, I'm not going to sign everything else for the preparer and ERO just for time. Also, you may have checked the box for it to type the signature part in. It's thinking. It'll just take a minute. Alexis, do we have any questions in there while it's thinking?
Yeah, we do have a couple. So one of the first questions is, how do you recommend they send the link to the customers for their mobile app?
So that's a great question. You can do a couple things. And again, you have to look at your clientele and the age of your clientele and what they do. So you can put it on your website. Okay. Very prominent. So it's up there on your website. Again, if you use LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever, get it out on your social media. For your existing customers, again, it depends whether you use a product for texting. You could text it out to all of your current customers that you have new technology where they can upload all their documents to you for you to do their return and do something like that. if I'm new to you and I call your office and ask how I can get my data to you, or I was a customer of yours, but I've moved across the country and I call you and say, okay, I still want you to do my taxes, but how do I get the data? You can either just give them the link over the phone or email the link to them in a single email, whatever works for you. And again, the customer, because you got to look at the age of the customer and what they respond to and how they do things, because it's a big change if you're going after millennials, right? A lot of them will be on your website, or they'll be on your Facebook page, or they'll be on stuff like that. So you can direct them to the Facebook page and the link there as well.
Perfect.
Okay. You see here, it's come up as sign now. So if I had done in person, they would have gotten an email and it would have had a sign now link like this. It doesn't look like that. It's an email, but it has a sign now link. And in remote, just so you know, they're going to have to answer KBA questions. So there are things that are in, open databases, and it'll be things like, what address did you live in 22, or who has your current car loan? And it'll show a list of answers, and sometimes it's 3 and then none of the above, and sometimes it's 4 different ones and it's one of them. So they have to answer those questions before they can sign and see the tax return, right? Because we don't want to give personal information out to somebody that it's not that person. So if they stole your purse and they have your driver's license and your social security card because you had it in your purse, they have that data, but they don't know where you lived in 22, or they don't know who has your bank loan, or there's other questions that are in national databases that they pull that information. So here we're like signing again on their own. Their smartphone, they can just use their finger and sign it if they want to. You'll notice here you can do typed by keyboard or draw with touch, mouse, or stylus. Okay, I don't do good with my mouse and my screen isn't touch screen, so I'm going to do typed. And with typed, you can change a font. So they can pick something that's closer to the way they do things. So we're going to say she likes that signature. And they're going to adopt the signature. Now it's going to show every page, and they can scroll up and down and look at the page before they sign it and apply signature. Same thing with the next page. This is the 8879. I'm just going to apply it. And now they're going to click submit. Once they click submit, that signed tax return will come back into the vault. So you'll have the source documents that they uploaded. You'll notice it says completed. Here it still says sent. I'm just going to refresh it for a minute because it's not going to be there until it says completed. There we go. So in Vault, as I was starting to say, you'll have the source documents. This is a different person than what we did a minute ago, guys. That's why the other documents aren't here. They'll have the source documents for everything that they uploaded. They'll have the signed tax return, its date and time stamped. And guys, that's Zulu time. So it has a Z. And you also get a e-signature completion certificate, which the IRS requires you have if they're using e-signature. So this is huge because both the signed completion certificate and the return stay with the tax return and the source documents for 7 years. So for 7 years, it will be there for you to have if they get into an audit situation or anything like that. I'm going to try and go back to my other mobile. There's my TaxWise 25. So you see, it changes the steps as it moves through with all of the returns. So again, either you'll see this one says return being reviewed. This one does as well. So it tells them exactly where they are in the process so they don't have to call you and ask. And again, if they need the referral code again, they can just come in and click on that to get the code again because they got somebody else they can refer to you. So that piece is pretty big. Also, you can, in TaxWise Online, in Vault, if you unlock the documents. So this little lock unlock, if you unlock the documents, they actually can get them right in mobile. So if you unlock their tax return and their W-2s or whatever, they can get them in the mobile app as well. And I'm on a different one, so that's not the one that's going to give it to them. Hold on a second. Let me go back. Thought I did 222. You start doing so many of these, I forget what number I used. I thought there, I think it's this one. Yeah. So here are those 2 W-2s I pulled in, and they're unlocked. That's TaxWise 25. That's not you guys. There's Unity. They go to those 3 lines and then go to documents. Anything you unlock, are there. Sorry. Oh, this is not you. I did 2220089. So that one's not you guys. That's why it's not going there. But you can share them back and forth as well. So it's really nice because they can see the documents and you can send them to them if you're out and about and they're like, I need my W-2. I know you gave it back to me, but I lost it and I can't find it. So that's there as well. The other thing too, one of the things that we had a question on last week when we did a webinar, they were asking some things about mobile. So if you did the tax return in TaxWise Online in 2024, so I'm the taxpayer and you did my return in TWO 24, my data will not auto-populate into mobile. But when I put my data, the basic stuff in that I just did, and I send it to the tax preparer, it will have my information. So like all my kids and their data, and it will carry forward from TWO into TWO. And then you'll have the new items, you know, the new W-2s and things you uploaded. So again, it won't, the data won't go from TWO to mobile. It'll only go TWO to TWO and TW mobile to TWO, but it doesn't flow backwards. So a lot of people ask questions about that. But if you have carry forward for the taxpayer, the carry forward will be there. You'll get a question pop up when you go to open the interview that you want to add this data to the existing return. Or you can start a brand new one. You know, if somebody messages you and says, hey, I got divorced and it's just me, you know, my kids are with my wife or whatever, you can choose to do a new return rather than that. Okay. What other questions do you have? There's got to be questions, Alexis.
Yes, we have quite a few questions. So, first one I'm seeing, can you skip the ID upload step or is this required with the mobile app?
It's required. You need some sort of identity document for these customers, whether it's a social, whether it's a state ID, a military ID, or their driver's license. They've got to have something.
Perfect. And kind of piggybacking on that question, we had another one asking, will the mobile app take place of due diligence as an intake form, or do they need to still complete my current intake form?
So I would not have it. I would use my intake form. Most people's intake forms have a lot more information on it. So right now, and it's one of the things we have on the roadmap for it, for you to be able to upload your intake form into it, but you cannot do that this year. But what you can do is you could email it to them or post it on your website for them to download it and fill it in, and then take a photo of it and upload it within mobile so that you have it. Because you probably have more things on your intake sheet than we do in mobile if you're doing a doc only. And, you know, it's just better always to cover your butt with stuff when dealing with the IRS. So having them fill in a blank intake form shows that they sent you that information, that these 3 kids are their 3 kids, and that they answered the questions and uploaded any documents. Like you may want to change your intake form to say something like, please upload, student records or medical records that have your address on them to show this child, your children are yours. When you have issues where different last names and different things like that, to prove that the kids are there. So you may want to add a little bit onto your intake form if you've already got one, about asking them to upload the documents. And guys, think about the things you need to change with some of the new laws, right? So again, if you have an intake form, you may want to add the question about, did you purchase a new car this year and have a loan? And then we'll need the VIN, and we'll need, the loan interest amount, or about tips, or about overtime, because again, it's very confusing and it's going to be tough on the taxpayers and tough on the preparers, because the taxpayers here no tax on overtime, but it's actually only no tax. If you make $20 an hour and your overtime is time and a half, so you make $30, it's really no tax on the $10 part. So you got to figure that all out. And a lot of it's going to have to come from a final paycheck stub. So if they've got overtime, you may want a copy of a final pay stub so that you can see the overtime listed on there to be able to compute that. So there's a lot of different things. So think about that with the intake form that you already have, and you may want to add or adjust it a little bit to be able to get information the first time rather than having to go back to them constantly.
Awesome. And it looks like next question is going to be regarding document uploads. What is the best way for clients using the mobile app to deal with like broker or investment documents that are multi-page documents?
So if they can take that document, and remember it said you could upload a PDF. So if they can take that brokerage statement that is a PDF, and let's just say it's 5 pages, okay? And they can save it as a file, as a PDF file with the 5 pages on their phone, on their tablet, on their computer, then they can just navigate to that to either get the picture if they've taken, if they've had it as a picture on their phone, or they can import things as well. So they can just like go to wherever they've got it saved, like I did on mine to show you the W-2s, because I'm on my computer. So I have it saved in a folder, so they can do something like that and upload the PDF. Or they can take 5 separate pictures and upload them. I mean, but again, some of them can get pretty lengthy. So I think uploading it as a PDF is a much better choice.
Yeah, and I think most of those companies email out a PDF or, make it available for download. So that's probably
Typically. So if
why.
they save it to their phone, to their tablet, to their computer, then they can just go to it and get it from there.
Awesome. Now, this next question, I know we hit on briefly, and we talked about it prior to the webinar. This customer is a returning mobile app user. However, he experienced some difficulties last year losing his pro forma data, where he was having to re-enter like depreciation worksheets, K1s. What is the best way for him to avoid that issue going forward?
So my question would be, so they had issues in 24 that he had to enter data. My question would be, did he use mobile in 23? Because as I stated earlier, if they started the return in mobile the prior year and put the data in, it will carry to the next year in mobile. But if they did it in TaxWise online, they came into your office or whatever, and you did it in TaxWise online in 23, then when they went to mobile in 24, they would absolutely have to enter all that data.
Okay, so if they started that return as an in-person interview in 23, then that client switched to mobile in 24. It's normal.
The data will not go from TWO back into mobile. Only if they use mobile in 23 and then mobile in 24 will it come across. And I don't know what the situation is, but I'm thinking that that's probably what happened.
Okay.
But I'm not sure.
If that customer came in and did a mobile app this year because they did one last year, everything should carry forward. Okay.
Correct. Now they need to look at it, guys, because, things changed. Maybe one of their older kids is now claiming themselves, or maybe they've had a new baby. So they may want to add information and, of course, verify stuff. But so, that's the nice place where when you review, you can edit it. So you may want to get them in the habit of reviewing stuff because they may see, oh, I had 3 dependents last year and I've got 4 this year. I've got to add the new baby. I forgot. And things like that. So
perfect. Next question is about assigning the mobile app returns. Does the ERO select who is the preparer for that return, or will everyone see it and they're able to grab which ones they want?
So you notice here as admin, I can come in and I can assign it to someone. So I can go and assign it to a different person once I pull it in. So they can assign it. Some people do it where whoever has time comes in and just, if I don't have anybody sitting at my desk and there's 6 mobile interviews, I can go in and start doing them. It depends how you want to handle it. Some people have one person that all they do is handle the mobile returns. And again, it depends how much you market it and what kind of volume you have of how you want to handle it. And you may have to adjust it because you may think something's not going to work and it blows up. And I'm not talking about mobile, but a lady came up to me at GetWise and said, she was an older lady, not quite as old as I am, but I mean, she was in probably her late 50s, early 60s. And her adult son is coming into the business. And he said to her, you need to do a little video on Facebook. And she was like, whatever. And he kept after her. So finally she said, all right. So he took a video and she talked a little bit about some of the new changes and stuff for the tax law and everything and what was going on. Now, this was for last year. So the tax laws from last year, not one big, beautiful bill. But she talked about different stuff and they could help customers through it, blah, blah, blah. She did 160 returns from that darn video. And she said, I didn't expect anything from putting a video on my Facebook page. And I got 160 new clients from it. And she was like, my son was like, see, I told ya. And now she does them quite frequently to keep her name up and coming up in Facebook with different things. And so she'll do little quick blurb videos, like do one on car loan interest, do one on overtime, do one on tips, do one on, the energy credits stopping soon, and just little blurbs like that, because it gets it out in front of people. And then again, if you have that Facebook page and you've got where you say, use my link to upload your documents, and we'll set up a time to do an interview with you on Zoom or however you're going to do it or want to do it, to get these returns done. So again, you can have one person do them. You can, as admin, assign them to people, or if you give them the import interview, or I don't think it says import interview. I think it says interview processing or something role, then they can come in and just pick these different ones themselves as they have time to get them done, if that's the way you want to do it in your business. So again, as the owner manager, you decide how you want them to do these returns.
Perfect. And I do want to go ahead quickly cover while we're talking about how it assigns out. Dawn, could we quickly review what user roles specific preparers will need to import interviews?
So of course, admin will always have all rights. Super user has most of them, so they can do it. But you see the interview processor and the interview here? That interviewer here gives you interview mode. And then this one allows you to process the interviews. And again, guys, I can't stress enough to use your help. Because you have information in here about it. And you can go through the other thing too. Hold on, let me get back in there. I'm going to close this real quick. Maybe not so quick. Is also go into your help and go to your program help. And this is for all user roles, not just for the interview. But if you have questions of whether, do I want to give somebody this one or that one, or should I give them super user, or should I do other things? Go in here and search user roles. And they have all of them and exactly what they allow them to do and what they can't do. Like, I don't give anybody super user because I don't want them to have my reports, right? I don't want them to be able to run reports and keep reports. And also, I don't want them to be able to delete returns. So I don't like super user. I mix and match like return preparer and e-file manager, and do things like that rather than, giving a bulk super user type thing. So again, you can come in here and you can just give them return preparer and interview processor. And then they can, you see here, it says available when the pending interviews to be imported. So like it said, import interview, it gives them that role. So it tells you on all of these of what it is. And then you can determine which ones you want to give them. And again, think about e-signature. Can they do e-signature? So you have to think about that. Okay. But this is a good piece to use the help for because it's really specific. And again, you want to look at, can they delete returns? Can they get into your reports? Because they can steal your EIN database. They can steal your client list. You got to be careful, guys. I know it's easy just to click super user, but you're giving them a lot of information you may not want to. Okay, Alexis, did that answer it?
Yep, that's perfect. And the other thing while we're talking about this, I do want to remind you guys when you are setting up your mobile app, Don, will you click into that? There is a checkbox in here that says send to your main office.
Yeah,
Make
mine
sure
doesn't have it because I am the main office.
that would make sense. Okay, so when you go under your settings and go into co-brand mobile app, there's a checkbox that says send interviews to main office. You want to make sure that is not selected. What that does is it sends your interviews actually to our main office and we cannot send them back to you. Mobile app does not allow that two-way street. So when you're setting it up, make sure you are not selecting that because we won't be able to push those back down to you. Moving on to other questions. John, is there a limit to how many document uploads are allowed per interview?
No. Now, like with the income, you can do 10. And let's say you have 12. You can do 10. And then at the end where it says upload additional documents, you can do 2 more. And I'd like feedback on that at the end of this season because I really wanted it to be 20 and they felt I was being excessive. But I said, you get somebody that job jumps until they get where they're comfortable. I had a guy with 18 W-2s. Well, if he had 18 W-2s and he had an interest statement and he had something else, I'm getting way up past 20. But they determined that they felt like 10 was a safe number. And again, at the end where it says upload additional documents, they can upload the rest of them. So there really isn't a limit as far as what they can get to the tax preparer, but they might have to do it in increments if there's a lot of a type of document.
Perfect. And I think the last question we have here is going to be about the information that shows when they select they want a bank gap. Is that going to be specific to their bank that they're enrolled with? For us, all of our customers use Republic Bank. So will they only see Republic Bank's information?
They should. It should be whatever bank and what they're approved for. So if you have a client that isn't approved for advances, they're only doing RTs, that should be the only option for the taxpayer to choose. So it will depend on what you're approved for. And again, I'm not sure your people may be approved for everything. I don't know, Alexis. But I know we have like all across the board, where people.
No, so that's great. So like if we have an office that only offers RT, that's all they'll show versus someone who has advances and RT, the client will have the option to select between those two.
Correct.
Perfect.
And I don't do a bank for 2 reasons. One is if I have a bank on there, everybody thinks that's the bank I recommend. And it's not. It's just that I can only have one bank on. And 2 is if I go and do a bank for my fake account, they drive me nuts to do compliance training the whole tax season.
Oh yeah, nope, they try and keep us all on it. All right, guys, I think that is going to be the end of our Q&A. So a couple things to wrap up on here. We do have a couple more webinars going on this week. On Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we do have our Unity Intermediate Return Preparation. So if you're not signed up for that, I highly recommend it. Also sign up your individual tax preparers you have in office. It's going to be a great refresher course on how to use the software and navigate some of those new forms we have this year. Additionally, we are going to have a webinar Thursday at 2 p.m. with Dawn again. This one's going to go over getting the most out of your software. So using all of those included programs that you may not be taking full benefit of, such as eSignature, Volt, Versacom, and whatnot. And then on Friday, the 19th at 2 p.m., we will be having our Unity Tax Shield Master Class. So that's what we have coming up this week. If you guys need registration links or anything like that, they should be in your email, or you can send us an email to support@unitytaxpartners.com and we will send those over to you again. Other than that, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again, Dawn, for taking the time out of your day to present us with the mobile app. I hope you all have learned as much as I have, and we look forward to doing this again on Thursday with you.
Sounds great. Listen, everybody have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye, everybody.